hi there boys and girls, and welcome back to the channel. Got a few content contributor games for you in this video. First up is Sasha Lu from GTC1. I think it's the first game that we featured of Sasha's on the channel, and she's rolling out on Mayan Ruins in the tier 7 Russian heavy, the ACES. And not a tank I played a lot. This one, again, you've probably heard me say on previous videos, I struggle to enjoy games with these big Russian derpy guns that have quite high dispersion levels, and the inaccuracy that comes with that. Also the very long aim times I think can be a challenge, and you're going to see a couple of times in here actually. It's just the way that you have to play the tank. I mean, sometimes you just have to almost shoot and hope it goes in, because poking out and waiting for the full the aiming reticule to come all the way down it's just sometimes something that you can't do. You're just going to take too much damage if you do it, and you're going to see a few examples in this game where Sasha's going to take a snapshot and it doesn't come off, not because she's necessarily playing the tank wrong or playing it badly. It's just one of the things you have to accept if you play these big Russian derpy guns. It's just half of the course. Now in this particular circumstance, we've got another IS up there. He's left his drive wheel exposed here. It looks like it's only him on this flank, so there's two green teams ready to take this out, and this guy just seems a bit impervious that he's getting shells pumped into him here. So I think Sasha's going to put at least I think 3 into him before he finally decides it might be a good idea to move. And he moves just before Sasha goes in for the shot there. However, what is apparent is there is only the one tank that they're facing, so they're going to push up and do their best to clear this guy. And at this stage, it's not looking too fantastic for the green. And there we go, good example of the derp there. Gun around the corner for the quick snapshot to kill, and yeah, you know, the aiming circle hasn't come down, and the shell can go absolutely anywhere. So anyway, this guy gets cleared up pretty quickly, and yeah, it's not looking too great for the greens. The red team have done an excellent job in clearing out the meds and the TD from the green team. So we basically got the heavies that are the only guys still left. So Sasha's now going to head over to the opposite flank, where a lot of this action has obviously been taking place. She finds herself a pretty nice hold down position here, and as she comes over here, she gets face to face with the Santa Meal. She does have a quick trade in shots, but this is obviously not something that Sasha wants to do with the kind of hitting power that the Santa Meal does. That one bounces straight off the gun mantlet. So Sasha backs out of there rather than getting into a hit point trade with him, which is probably the right thing to do, and is going to try and concentrate on clearing individual targets. This guy is now pushing forward. He's got himself sandwiched between two guns, so this is a perfect target to try and just clear from the game quickly. Now she is taking damage from the Santa Meal, which is coming up behind her, so she's quickly moving out of that one, gets herself a bit of cover, and gets this guy cleared. So it's still looking sort of 50-50 at this moment. It's a 3-on-3, and again, this is just good sensible play. As you can see, there's no point getting into it with a 1-on-1 with a Santa Meal face to face. It's just an easy way to give away your hit points, but this guy is engaged with several tanks, so get him cleared. Clear out the tanks systematically, one by one, and work with your team, and that's exactly what is going to happen. Another example of good Russian derp there, and yeah, so that's another tank cleared. So it's a 2-on-2. They've found themselves a good position here, a little bit of cover. She does take a shot from the front, however Santa Meal has now been reduced to a 1-shot. However, so is Sasha now at this point. Her teammates looking pretty healthy though, so if they can maintain this ground, they've cleared out Santa Meal now, and there's just one tank remaining, which I think is a T-29, and the shell goes in the front there, and T-29 is actually going to make it reasonably easy for them. He's not going to seek cover. He's simply going to stay in the open there. So Sasha carefully is rightly just maintaining her good position here. She is a one-shot. She's going to have a bit of difficulty with the spaced armor on the front of this tank, and also the dispersion from her own tank. So there's going to be a couple of bounces. Another one there. This is why I don't particularly enjoy the tanks, but you know, a lot of people do play them. You just have to live with it. However, that one does go in. Sasha picks up another kill there, and in the end, a pretty good win for the green team. So well thought out play, good teamwork, and that ultimately brings home the win. 2 kills, 2,800 damage, top gun. High caliber and ace mastery. So a nice game from Sasha there. Okay, here we are with Bob's tank 123, and he's rolling out in what is becoming a very popular tank at tier 9, the E75 German Heavy. A lot of videos featuring this tank are appearing on YouTube at the moment. I think Meadsy did a video with a few good games on the E75, and at this moment in time it's pretty much being regarded as one of the strongest all-round tier 9 heavies. This one is on the tech tree route that will eventually lead you to the E100. So it's going to be a line that a lot of people do drive. Now when you first get the tank, I haven't played it, I must admit. I went up the mouse line rather than the E100. People I've spoken to, when you first get the tank, if you do drive it stock, then like a lot of tanks, if you drive it stock, it's a bit of a challenge. But once you get it fully upgraded, this turns into a very effective tank. It deals out a large amount of alpha per shot. Bob's tank managing to set a fire on the E100 there. It's got very good armor if it's angled. And it's a good all-round tank. Whacks another shell into the E100 there and sets him on fire again. So E100's having a bit of a rough time of it. Now he has got himself in a bad position here. He has extended a bit too far. He's got multiple tanks from different angles on him. However, you know, when you have a tank as slow as the E100, sometimes it's difficult to get yourself out of the position if you push forward a little too hard. That's why you do really have to make sure that you have your teammates with you if you are going to push. Unfortunately, Bob doesn't get the clear on there. Potentially should have put a HE shell into that tank. However, they're clearing out this flank very, very efficiently. The red team have cleared out doing a pretty good job in clearing out tanks from the other flank. However, green do still have a slight numerical advantage here, and here comes a 121B invincible, and he's going to really do something quite bizarre. I mean, he's driven up here, he's not taking any cover, and he's getting into a hit point trade from the front with an E75. I mean, this is just not going to end well for him. You know, he's completely negating the speed and mobility that tank has by getting into a hit point trade, and this isn't going to end well. Bob gets it cleared up pretty quickly there, and now it's looking very, very good for the green team. Now they do potentially have an issue in that the tanks that are left include light tanks, and these guys are rolling around in some pretty slow heavies. So one of the things they might potentially have to keep an eye on if you get in this situation is maybe having at least one tank that stays near the base to try and draw the light tanks back towards you. And again, it generally does help in this situation if you all do try and corner the tanks as a team rather than going off after individual targets. And they are going to actually have a little bit of difficulty sort of tracking down the last tank here. He does cause them a bit of grief. However, Bob is rolling over here and sticking in the damage. Indeed, he's waiting over 4,000 now. This guy gets taken out, and there's our last remaining tank. Now he's got some pretty slow tanks who are going to be chasing after him, and that's going to take a little bit of a while before they pin him down. And again, just how I would generally look at it, I mean, getting the kill on this guy if you get him cornered isn't really an issue, but what potentially is an issue, if this guy uses that speed and mobility to keep running, he could potentially run down the clock. So in this situation, I've found it's always best if at least one of you hangs around in the cap circle, just in case. I don't know if that's what Bob was heading back into town here for, if he's simply just going for the kill. I think he effectively just wants to nail this guy down and go for the kill. But certainly something to consider if you do find yourself in a game with just one light tank remaining, who is potentially going to try and run you all over the map, especially if you have a big wide open map with lots of cover to hide in. However, these guys eventually do all very, very slowly manage to corner this guy. He sticks the back end of his tank out a little bit too far there. Bob clears him up, and an absolutely fantastic game there, just under 5,000 damage, steel wall, and another ace mastery with 2 kills there. Absolutely fantastic game from Bob in a very popular tank, the E75. Okay, and our last game, we have Frost 136, and he's rolling out in the ISU 152 here on ACES, and he's going to pick himself a good TD spot, and he's pretty much not going to move from here from the game because he doesn't really have to. He doesn't get challenged. Now, one of the things I have touched on several times in other videos is the danger potentially of a whole team driving at one flank, and that's exactly what the red team are going to do here. Now, I personally think it's a strategy that can go wrong more than it goes right, especially at the upper tiers where, you know, players are going to be pretty wise to it. I mean, by the time you've got heavies here coming across slant dunes, they're doing it slowly, they're exposed from the flanks. I mean, by the time this guy finally even gets close to getting into the battle, I mean, he's lost his hit point pool just by driving into position. It's always a very, very risky strategy, purely and simply because you risk getting farmed from the flanks if another tank has taken a flanking position, which Frost has here. The other danger you have with it, which is also going to become very apparent in this game, is if you are going to drive just the one flank, then potentially you need to be looking at which flank actually favours that strategy. Now, on this particular map, this is the wrong flank to drive if you're all going for a 7-tank drive, and the reason for that is because you are away from the cap circle. You're on the flank that's furthest away from the cap circle, so effectively you are saying that you're going to get into a position where you're going to have to take on enemy tanks on the flank that you're trying to take. You are potentially giving yourself the risk of getting farmed up from the flank by a big TD, which is exactly what Frost is doing here, and also you run the risk that you can't defend the base. And as you can see, there's a green tank sitting in that base and has been doing so for 37 seconds. And the Reds really are having a difficult time trying to get themselves out of the fight that they're in. Good communication between Frost and War Destroyer there, so he's doing his best to help out his platoon mate and try and clear low hit point tanks, which is exactly what you need to be doing under the circumstances. War Destroyer takes the kill there. He's getting pushed on. Frost makes sure his opponent is now reduced down to a one-shot, and he's under. You know, he has taken a few shots when people have got him spotted, but he can just sit here and farm up this damage, and the red team really don't have a response to it. And at no point have anybody even attempted to look at the situation that's going on in the cap circle. And yeah, I mean, look at the current situation. So either way, this is going to be a win, purely and simply, and this win was driven by the fact that the red team just picked a very, very bad strategy right from the start. Sometimes you do have to think about where you drive on the maps, boys and girls. Don't just happen to go where your tank is pointing when it spawns. But nonetheless, an excellent game from Frost there. 5,000, over 5,500 damage, ace mastery, sniper tanker, high caliber, and just a fantastic game there. The Reds didn't put up too much of a fight, but nonetheless Frost did exactly what he needed to do and made them pay for it. Absolutely outstanding game there. Anyway, boys and girls, thank you to Sasha, Bob's, Tank 123 and Frost for their replays. Thank you for watching and supporting the channel. And as always, good hunting and bye for now.